I think that the people in Hazelwood perhaps might be too friendly because they're too willing to accept what other people think about us. I don't know how many people have seen newborn babies, but when they come out of the womb, they come out screaming and crying, and they come out with their fists closed. And I think it's up to the parents to open up those children's hands and teach them to reach out to other people, and not just the white and not just the black.
The center is a community of academics, those from the academy, and practitioners who are working to bridge the gap between educational leadership and issues of social justice. The center is bringing together stakeholders from schools, from community, from the academy, and I think this panel is very much representative of the legacy of that work.
The equation of closing schools very often is couched in terms of how many kids, that makes sense. What are the costs? The costs of keeping the building open, understand that. What about busing the kids, get all that. But the equation of closing a school doesn't include the most important thing, which is that these schools were not just a place where education took place, these were centers of the community. And in vulnerable communities, when you close that school, you pluck the heart of it out there, and all of a sudden when you're sending kids elsewhere, so you can go back into the community, but the likelihood is you're going to get a lot less parental involvement. There's not going to be the same kind of commitment.
Part of the role of the school is to not pay attention as to how the kids are coming to school, but why they're coming to school that way. They experience different things at the bus stop, and compared to kids who get in the car and drive with mom and dad, or kids who live across the street and have an easy walk across. They have different experiences at the bus stop, the bus ride, the way they come through the door. You know, they bring all that with them.
I believe I've had 35 years of experience in working with children, and I believe that first of all, you need to know your children. You don't know what kind of experiences they're having at home. You don't know whether they came to school hungry. You don't know whether other things are going on in their life. So you need to know your children. And when you know your children, then you know how to work with them.
I've always wondered why the Pittsburgh Public Schools doesn't have a lot of African American male teachers. And that has always bothered me. That has always bothered me because, you know, I can remember 3 African American male teachers in the time that I grew up in Pittsburgh Public Schools. And I know their names, I know where they are, you know, I mean, and they taught me. And I related to them, and it was some good relations. Now, I had great relations with other teachers also, but it was always nice to see a teacher that looked like me.
There's a larger discussion and larger set of issues at stake around these communities that we consider to be distressed by virtue of some census data that we are aware of, single-parent households, property values, crime and mother poverty indices that speak to a place like Hazelwood of looking at some relatively recent data. But that should not be a reason for us not to invest in this place.
I'm glad that they chose Hazelwood to have this conversation. I'm glad that our folks from Hazelwood were here, and I'm hoping that there will be a follow-up of this and a continuation of those who are intellectuals and those who are activists coming together to address this to the point of creating something that we can do. And again, as I said in the session, I don't believe one size fits all. So we have to be prepared to be designers, ways of approaching communities, because I don't believe every community is the same. I think we are all kind of unique and different.